Here we got a string maker, homemade. I fabricated the spindles, just put a piece of a bike tube for a belt. It's drill driven. Eye hooks on the end. Right now we're making top strings, but you could use this for us as a rope making thing. You can make rope, you can make yo-yo strings, you can make trompo strings. And it fastens down here to form more eye hooks. So I could turn this into one big piece of rope by spinning the drill in circles, which I'll show in a minute, and then wrapping it all together using this mechanism. Well, my kids are into yo-yos and making things and string, and I'm into the spinning tops and the trompos. So I figured I would make something. So that we can make strings instead of having to buy them. So what you do is, you just spin the drill. And the mechanism's inside spin. Wrap it up until you get the tension you want, at the length you want. I'm going to build a better one, maybe out of aluminum or some steel. But this is perfect. So with this batch, I'm going to make 4 separate yo-yo strings. And then I'm going to make a length of actual rope. And it just holds down there and just spin, spin, spin in circles. The more you spin it, the tighter it'll get. Learning how to tension this properly and keep the string tight and things like that. Just like anything is a learning curve. And you just spin it. And then for yo-yo strings, you let it fold back on itself. Oh, caught it on the tripod. You let it fold over itself and then tie it and cut your tag ends, and you end up with a good yo-yo string. And then got to adjust my belt a little bit, but it's a learning curve. I want to learn how to make the trompo strings really good because I really enjoy making tops and spinning the trompos, and you don't see those here in Canada at all. It's hard to even buy the plastic ones and stuff like that there, either in other countries or in America. And we're going to try and do something here in Canada, at least just for some fun. So you wrap it until you get the right tension. And I'll show you here in a sec what to do. Once you've got it the way you want. And those ones aren't tight enough yet, so we're going to give it a quick spin. So it gets tight. Once it's tight, then it'll wrap itself up. I'll demonstrate here in a second how that works. And I mean, if you wanted to buy one of these, there's cast iron ones. This is an old school primitive technique for making rope. People just have redesigned things for different uses. You can weave the rope together and, you know, make handbags, or you can make doilies. Make carpets, things for the bathroom. of tight. And as you spin your string, you lose length. And then when you double it, you lose length. So always go a little extra because of the amount of loss as you begin to spin it. It gets tighter and it shortens itself up. So I don't know, I think I've made maybe 40 or 50 different strings. I've used different methods. This is the first round with this. But it works. A couple of bearings in there, a couple of screws to hold it. This is just something for the kids to play with. I'm gonna build a nice one. And I got a counterweight on the other side so it doesn't just pull it forward and helps keep the tension on here. And I've seen the counterweight used in different ways, swivel, or I've seen it attached to people's ceilings. But if you can see, this is just regular sewing thread. And then I'm gonna I might pull this one off now, and it should double itself up as we go. So without letting it go, you bring one end to the next, and then let it go. And then it's so tight that it begins to wrap itself. Now this one here is kind of thin, and there is probably a better way without having all of these little bits on the end here the way they are. And the string itself is a little thin. I should have put a few more wraps of thread on there, but again, it's all about learning, trial and error, right? Can't learn if you don't try. So, I'm going to take my two ends and I'm going to tie it together. Now it can't unwrap itself. So, there's definitely got to be an easier way than the way I'm doing it. But, more research, more learning for my kids. And as you can tell, this way that I'm choosing to do it is a little time consuming and monotonous. There's obviously got to be a bit of a better way. But nonetheless, it worked. My technique is what needs to be changed. Obviously back to the drawing board, and I've got lots to learn. Stay tuned. So, I took one strand off and tried to make a string with it. It's a little too thin. The length actually worked out pretty good. So I tightened these three up a little better. And now I'm going to demonstrate how I flip my machine, and I'm obviously going to go back to the drawing board for a design. And I'm going to fit the drill on my trusty bolt. We're going to tighten her up a little bit. And what we're going to do is, if you watch the string, it will begin to wrap itself nice and tight. So I'm going to spin this until it shrinks and gets tighter. So the whole apparatus is spinning now, not the mechanism on the inside to spin the individual string. Now it's hard to see at that end, but I can feel it and see it pulling, which is keeping tension, but it's also shrinking, getting smaller. So it takes a minute or two to wrap it all together. And with these things, when you do it yourself, or it's all trial and error. Nobody's born with a wealth of knowledge. If you were, then you'd just be Albert Einstein. Shout out to Albert for being smart. And if the bottom of my drill is slowly pulling itself forward, and I can feel it getting much, much tighter. The drill is pulling like crazy now. So the strings individually aren't wrapping. They're all wrapping together. So there's ways for making right-handed string and left-handed string from what I think I know. There's ways of making yo-yo strings, and then there's ways of making actual rope or cordage with this mechanism as well. And it's the same concept as doing it just a single strand. You wrap it up and then let it double over itself without letting it go. And as you can see, my drill is creeping into the frame because it's getting so tight that it shrink quite a bit. Well, you gotta try your best to keep the tension. And once you get it tight enough, it will wrap up over itself, just like my last string did. It gets tight at that end, and so you'll grab one end and tie it in a knot, which I'll show you here. Without letting go, you gotta hang on pretty good. There is a bit of tension on here. You know, you pop your threads, your string, your rope, whatever it is you're making. And then you want to just tie it in a knot, because then it prevents it from unwinding itself. Side here, and you can let it go and you end up with a bunch. And by all means, if you have any comments, questions, better ways of doing this, please feel free. Drop a comment, a suggestion of some sort. This one turned out much thicker, and now obviously I need to work all those kinks out of it. And this is just regular sewing thread that you sew clothes together with. I just wrapped it up a bunch of times, and it's kind of short, for a yo-yo string. But nonetheless, it's a string or a rope, however you want to look at it. There's plenty of ways of doing things. This works out perfect for us. Like, comment, subscribe, suggestions, things that you do, things you don't, different ways that I could possibly try to either revamp my mechanism or my strings. Anything is welcome as long as it's positive. Thank you.